What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wealth Project Podcast, the 10th episode of the Wealth Project Podcast. Super excited. It's a milestone, not a very big one, but it's a milestone for us. One of two milestones today, actually. Today will be the first ever video podcast that we're doing. So if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, this will be loaded with video on YouTube under the Wealth Project Podcast, probably Facebook as well. So check us out on Facebook under the Wealth Project Podcast. I'm not going to waste more time on that. I want to talk about our next guest, which I'm super excited to talk to today. He's somebody I've been following for probably a little over a month on YouTube. I've watched tons of his videos. He's been a huge inspiration for me and for Marco in our journey here in the podcast and in our online business, and especially with affiliate marketing, which is something we're starting to tinker with, as you know. So without further ado, here's Chris Myles.
Welcome to the Wealth Project Podcast. Join us as we take the journey from employee to entrepreneur. Now your hosts, Sergio Suarez and Marcos Suarez.
Well, thank you so much today, Chris, for joining us on our podcast. How are you today?
Doing pretty good, Sergio. Just trying to get stuff done. I'm implementing some new stuff with the YouTube channel, so I'm trying to see how well it's going to work and what kind of response I'm gonna get.
Oh, right on. So, I'll be giving you a brief description in the intro of this podcast, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and and about your business?
Okay. Well, my name is Chris Myles, and the genesis of my business came when I was in a pinch for some money, and my son was on his way, and we needed to find a way to generate some income. And Benji's mom, my wife, we kind of both decided that she was going to quit her job, and all of a sudden, I needed to put the big boy pants on, find a way to generate to completely replace her income, which was around like $40,000 to $50,000 a year. So I was like, all right, well, let's do this. And I tried a few things, and a lot of them failed. But actually, I took on to the online business, affiliate marketing, influencer marketing, and things kind of caught on. And they actually caught on in a pretty big way. And at this point, I've basically replaced both of our incomes.
Awesome. And so, I guess, that's really, one of the biggest reasons people do online business or get into online business is kind of to, either make a side income or supplement another income. I'm kind of in the same situation where my wife's currently not working right now, and it'd be nice to maybe make up for some of that income that she was bringing in. So that's kind of why I got started as well. So it's very similar to your story.
Yeah, a lot of people have the same motivations for the most part, like to your core. Humans just have a need to take care of their families, especially the guys. So we try our best to provide no matter what happens.
That's right. So how long have you had your online business for?
Unofficially around maybe 4 years. Officially probably more 3.5.
Okay. So you started about 2016, would that be?
Probably more 2015. I kind of took the path that most people take when they're talking about starting an online business. You first think that it's a scam and none of it's real. So you go online and you see some YouTube videos and you see some blogs and you're like, you know what, I can do that. So you go and you slap something together and you try to get it to work and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a scam, but then you actually buckle down and realize that you have to take it seriously. So then after kind of dawdling around for 8 months to a year almost, I kind of actually purchased a training that would show me how to do it. And it's been going up since then.
Right on. And so is this something you do full time now?
Yeah, pretty much. Just 100% full time. I do consult with IT for a company. So that's what my full time job was before. So I still kind of just do that kind of on a contract type basis. So basically, if for whatever reason I feel like working, I just take on another contract. Okay. And I kind of took the whole consulting angle that I've taken with online business and affiliate marketing, and just kind of moved it to IT, but now for companies. But I could do it on a contractual basis, so I can make like a solid amount of money if I needed to.
Right.
But that's about it. I don't have to do it, but it's nice to get out the house.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. I guess that having the luxury of being able to work from home, you pretty much have to eventually just find a reason to go out and do something and get out of the house. Eh?
Yeah, Starbucks is my favorite place to go.
That's right. There you go. And so, how long have you been doing it full time, roughly?
Not as long as you might think. Probably a little over a year.
Oh, okay.
Things were a little slow with the free traffic, I guess you can call it.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a while, to kind of build that momentum when you're first starting, but it's like a snowball. It gets to the point where it's just too big and it kind of just takes a life of its own, and you're just trying your best not to crash it. So
Right.
that's kind of where we are now.
Right. Okay. And we spoke a little bit about my next question, but my your inspiration to starting an online business was for your family and kind of supplement that income. Was there any other reasons, or was that mainly the reason you started to get into that?
Well, I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur.
Okay.
Ever since I was 16 years old, I've always been trying to find a way to make more money than I was already making.
Right.
I've always had a job though, so I kind of like had some source of income coming in, and I've done everything from sell clothes on resell clothes on eBay, laptops, smartphones. The list kind of goes on, and then excuse me, and then for a while I used to do wedding planning and DJing, and that was nice, but it didn't pay as much as I would like it to, and it was a lot of work, like backbreaking work, because picking up speakers and meeting with clients, and it was a lot, doing it on top of working full time. But then after a while, I was just like, okay, when we realized that we needed good, consistent money coming in, I needed to find another option. So I did not want to get a second job, and that was kind of where I was leaning really, really closely to. But then when I found affiliate marketing online business, I was like, okay, well, let's give this a try. And if it can get consistent, then this will be the answer and I won't have to be gone. Now, I'm not saying that I don't work on a business probably twice as much as I probably should, but for the most part, I can earn a decent amount of money and still be at home. So if I'm working on something and say, Benji needs something, my wife needs something, I can literally stop right there, go do whatever I got to take care of. And the website is right where it is when I left it, so it's one of those kinds of things that that was kind of the start of everything and why I kind of jumped into it. The flexibility.
Right. Okay. And so one of your was it your one of your first business was affiliate marketing?
No, it was probably like my 10th,
Oh,
to
really?
be honest. Yeah, because I didn't really know anything about it until I kind of stumbled upon it. I just, like I said, like I mentioned before, for the most part, I was doing, physical type jobs, whether it was with the DJing or whether it was flipping clothes. I had some overseas resellers. I was
Right.
doing drop shipping before drop shipping was cool, but I was actually handling the merchandise.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
So like I would order a ton of it and keep it in my room and
Yeah,
then toss
hang
it up
on to
and
the
ship it off
inventory.
to everybody. And then I'd get the crazy email saying I sent someone the wrong color shirt. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this probably isn't for me because my attention to detail wasn't the greatest at the time.
Right. And you know what? I actually I don't know, about a year ago, I tinkered a little bit with Shopify and drop shipping, and same boat. And I didn't even have to handle the inventory. I couldn't imagine being able, having to handle the inventory. But yeah, just I didn't have, I did pretty good. I didn't have too many complaints, but the ones that I did just really rubbed me the wrong way. So it's just,
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It was,
Yeah. I'm not 100% fan of drop shipping, and because it's just, you do have to put a pretty decent investment. But if you do find the right niche to kind of jump into, you can really kill it.
right.
I heard of one guy who, the little hoses that connect to your washing machine, it
Yeah.
you would think that's such a obscure item, but people need to buy them all the time, and no
That's
one
true.
else really knew about it, and he was just killing the industry with it until his secret came out.
No
But
kidding.
I had a ton of competition. But if you can find that little small household car item, whatever, that just not a lot of people are really looking at, that people also need, then you can actually do pretty well in drop shipping. But you do need the upfront investment. A lot of the people I talk to don't have a ton of money to invest
Yeah.
in the business early on. So you kind of have to walk them through the whole process.
Yeah.
And but it's fun. It's a process that it was only a little while ago that I was going through myself. So I can definitely, relate to people when I'm trying to help them start theirs. And that's actually just one of the blogs and YouTube channels that I do have. I have other ones that have nothing to do with online business, but this is just obviously the more public facing one.
Okay, so yeah, so you do help people with like Shopify online stores and stuff like that on your YouTube?
Not really Shopify, just more learning how to attract audiences with a lot of attraction marketing through blogging and video marketing.
Okay.
I think right now video marketing is amazing, huge. Like, I thought it was interesting that you suggested, like, hey, why don't we do it on video? I was like, I'm all for it.
Right. Actually, you know what? And if my listeners are going to know this. This is the very first episode. So episode 10, the very first video episode that we're doing here on the Wealth Project podcast. So you're the first guest that we're doing a video with.
Hey, glad to be the first. Hopefully I can make it easy on you.
Right on. And so far, so good.
Awesome.
So, and one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm super excited to speak with you, because I have been watching your YouTube videos for the past few weeks. And first of all, I got to say, you bring some amazing content, and you're a huge inspiration. You're a big inspiration to me. And you're one of the reasons actually I got started with affiliate. Like I'm looking into getting started, I should say, with affiliate marketing. So I thank you for that. So that being said, is affiliate marketing something you would suggest as a beginner?
Yeah, actually 100%. I started it as a beginner. Excuse me. Yeah, definitely. I started it as a beginner. It doesn't take a lot to first begin, because with the world the way that it is now, with the internet, and how there's an interest and a group of people who like everything. When you're first getting started, if you like old time movies, if you like, action figures, if you like, the list kind of goes on, and it could be the most obscure things as well. There's a group of people online who are willing to read your stuff, willing to watch your stuff if you're willing to make YouTube videos. And you can actually write and create content on things that you enjoy doing and enjoy learning about. And I always say that if you're able to do that kind of thing, then it may not feel like work. You might want to go in and do some research on, let's just say your niche is cooking, or maybe cooking vegan or something like that. You might be on the fringe of knowing how to do vegan. You might know enough just for yourself. But then when you create that blog, you're going to go out there and do research, because now you're going to be delivering information to other people who may be getting started with becoming a vegan. And that's the best part that I have, is when I'm trying to teach people on how to start. One big thing is a lot of people are like, well, you're just trying to teach me how to resell your program. I'm like, no, I'm actually teaching you how to take whatever niche, whatever interest you want, and turn it into an income. And with Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Followers, you don't need that many people to earn a full-time income. I believe he said if he had 1,000 True Followers who would spend $100 a month, $100 a year on something that you either suggested or created, you can make $100,000 a year from 1,000 people. And with YouTube channels that have thousands and millions of subscribers, and I'm not saying that it's easy to get, but it's not that difficult to get a huge following on Instagram or on Facebook or on YouTube or in your blog or whatever, and you can get that 100 or 1,000 true followers.
So, yeah, and I guess, it's one of the things that I'm consistently learning here as I start my online journey, I guess, and it's true. I guess quality is a lot more important than quantity, and like you said, that's true. I mean, 1,000 people spending $100 a year is at the $100,000. That's easy, simple math, and that is a very good income, actually, in comparison to what people make regular 9-to-5 jobs. So I really like
it's
that.
almost too simple. It's almost too simple, and it's hard to wrap your mind around because of what we've kind of been reared to know when it comes to making money. You're drilled into your head from the time that you're born. Go get a good paying job, go to
Right.
college, kind of tote the company line. And, I mean, now I'll guarantee I went to college. So, I mean, I can't necessarily completely dog it because I did enjoy my time in college. But college really teaches you how to become an employee. They don't teach you, college doesn't really teach you how to go out there and turn something into something. They'll turn nothing into something.
Right.
Some of the most successful people in the world, well, definitely the most in the United States, didn't even finish college. And a lot of them dropped out of college because they had an idea and decided to jump out and say, okay, let's just see what happens. College is going to always be there, in my opinion. So, but with the rising cost of it, I think the average now is around, $30,000-$40,000 to go to a regular 4-year university. And I can start an online business for less than $100.
Right.
That, I mean,
that's huge.
There's no comparison.
No.
It really does it flips conventional wisdom on its head. It looks weird when you're doing it and you're trying to explain it to other people. They're looking at you like you're making money online.
Yeah. It's true. And a lot of people still think it's a scam, right? I mean, I thought it was, you thought it was, but it's true. It's a legit opportunity to make good money, and a lot of people do.
Yeah, and it's not going anywhere, especially if you choose the right interest, the right niche. A lot of times people say you want to jump into one of the 3 major niches, which is health, wealth, and relationships.
That's right.
If you jump into one of those 3, those 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, there's someone who's interested in trying to do one of those things. Absolutely. You just have to find yourself what they call the blue ocean technique. You just find yourself a little small blue ocean somewhere that isn't full of sharks trying to eat you, and you can create a huge business. And it's going to take hard work, and that's one of the problems with online business, at least the marketing of online businesses. They make it seem like you're going to be sitting down, drinking Mai Tais on the beach from the second day. And that's the end result after a ton of hard work. So if you're willing to put that work in front, then you're going to do well with it.
Yeah. And that's something, I've been learning, and I definitely want to emphasize to our listeners, and something I've really learned is it's not a get rich quick business. No. And it takes time. Like even just to get that following, like, I mean, we're talking about, affiliate marketing for beginners. But like, I mean, it's even to get that following, or that, like, going back to that 1,000, true followers, that's going to take time, and it's not going to take, I don't know. I mean, we're in it only a few months now, and it's still, I feel like we're still haven't really climbed that, that hill yet. And I think we still have a lot of work ahead of us, but it definitely, would you say it's going to take some time and I think patience, right?
Yeah. You just have to stick to it. Really, the cool thing about online when it comes to growing an audience and a following is that you're really only going to fail when you stop doing it.
Right.
If you just stop, then of course the following is not going to come to you. You just have to keep writing, or keep blogging, or keep podcasting, and eventually, you're going to catch on. You're going to, after a month, you might get 5 people listening. After 2 months, you get 12. And then after a year, you still might only have 100 to 200. But then at some point, you're going to have what they call that hockey stick curve, where it's just going, and then just shoots up.
Right.
Because the more people who know about you, the more that you're going to be shared, the more that you're going to be known. And that's really the wave you want to catch. I like to liken it to if you're pushing a car from a dead heat, so you open the door and you put it in neutral and you start pushing, and it's really hard to get it started. But once the car starts moving, you're trying to jump in and hit the brakes at that point, and that's exactly how the process works. But a lot of people give up when they're trying to get the car going.
Right. And yeah, I mean, what would you say? I mean, how long did it take for you to get to that curve?
Well, let me say that if you count the time that I didn't necessarily take it 100% seriously, then I was kind of just riding the low part for a long
Right.
time. When I actually started, putting together a formula that I knew worked and that I saw others that had taken that path and it worked for them. Um, Probably after about 8 to 10 weeks, I made my first sale.
Okay.
And that was with straight blogging. After about maybe 3 to 4 months, I was getting around $50 to $60 a month. After about 8 months, I got up to about 300 to 400, and then, after about let's see, maybe a year, I probably cracked 1,000 for the first time.
Wow.
And after about around that 2 year mark, I hit my 10,000 for the first month. And
Nice.
actually, look, we got a little guy here.
Oh, hey, is that Benji?
This is Benji.
Hey, Benji.
Say hi, buddy. So nice, tired,
Checking
buddy.
out what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably hears me talking. But yeah. So around that, I like to tell people, give it a solid 18 to 24 months of creating consistent content. Early on, you're going to be preaching to a ghost town. No one's going to know who you are. No one's going to be reading. You're going to be basically writing to yourself. But what you're really doing is building a foundation to
Right.
where when people finally find you, then they're going to go back and read your old stuff, and they're going to listen to your old stuff. And
Right.
once you have that foundation built, and then everything kind of takes a life of its own at that point.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I mean, I think learning what I've been learning, the biggest speed bump is just kind of getting consistent. You're right. It does feel like you're producing content just for yourself. Like it's nobody's watching or nobody's listening or nobody's reading, and even though we got odd, like with our podcast, we do have some pretty decent listeners, and I'm starting to pick up on followers, but sometimes it is hard because you're like, why am I doing this, right? But it's that consistency, and we've said it in past episodes. We have a mentality episode that we did. I think it was episode 3 or 4, and mentality is so important, and just keeping consistent and keep going at it. I think that's great advice for sure.
Yeah, definitely with podcasting too, the consistency's got to be there because people need to count on you being there.
Exactly.
I talked about it recently. It's the what they call, I like to call it like the Oprah technique, where she had her TV show for over 25 years or so, and she was there at 4 p.m. Eastern every day. People would leave work early to come home and watch her show because they knew she was going to be there.
Right.
And that's more of a what do you call it? It's more of how human nature works. Once I can count on you being somewhere, then I'll start trusting you more. And then the more I trust you, then the more of an influence you're going to have on that person's life. And then if you see, there was one point where Oprah could turn people into celebrities just like
Absolutely.
that, like Rachel Ray and Dr. Phil and all these people. She promotes them one time, and their lives are set. And it's because she had that consistency and she had that trust in her following, and she protected it too. She never really did anything too crazy, other than when she was giving people cars and they didn't pay the taxes on them. But other than that, she was pretty good with her following, and that's what you try to replicate, is creating a consistency so that people can know you're going to be there. You're no longer just that person on the other side of the microphone, person on the other side of the blog, or the video, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can be there, then you're going to create those 1,000 true followers and be able to stay home and do what you want.
Right. Yeah, I agree, and that's a great way of putting it. I like that, the Oprah effect. Remember that one. So I see, like I said, I follow you on YouTube a lot. I mean, you have, a lot of good content. Is YouTube help you with your affiliate marketing? Would you find that's your main source of, maybe leads for your affiliate marketing, or do you have other methods?
For this business particularly, YouTube has quickly taken over as being the larger contributor, I guess you could say, in terms of leads. Mm-hmm. The blog was the big one for a long time, but then after a while, YouTube kind of started taking over. What I used to do is I would create the blog, and after a while, I would create the blog, and then after creating the blog, I would then create a complimentary YouTube video on it. But the way that Google, the search engine itself, works when it comes to ranking your content, it might take anywhere from 4 to 5 months before your article can move up the rankings and be on the first page like it's supposed to, which is okay because it does it. Google is outstandingly consistent when it comes to that kind of thing. So it does work, but that's a long time to create content and you're just waiting on your return of your time investment on it. YouTube, you could create a video and within a week it's got a few thousand views to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really thanks to the way that YouTube handles suggesting videos to people. It's a lot different than the normal Google search engine. So because of that, I started going the other way around. So I started now creating the topics for the YouTube video and then creating a complimentary blog post. And so far, that's actually worked pretty well. So I'm all about sending people to my email list. You send them to the email list, and then now I can talk to them directly. So
Right.
until that little world changes, there's other ways to do it too, based on getting followings on other platforms other than YouTube. I have one on a blog, push notifications that you can send to people, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, not really Snapchat. Snapchat's kind of dying right now, but you try to diversify your audience, because as great as YouTube is, at the end of the day, it's youtube.com/whatever your channel is. So YouTube can, for whatever reason, decide to kaput your channel at any moment. Not to say that they would do it, but that's something you want to keep in the back of your mind when your primary source of income is coming from one place.
Right.
And when you have a job, a 9-to-5 job, you're just thinking to yourself that, this is my primary source of income. And most people do not reach outside of that to do anything. And that's a slippery slope, when you kind of open your eyes to entrepreneurship and you start realizing that, okay, if this were to fail for some reason, where is money going to come in? So I think becoming an entrepreneur definitely helps with opening your mind to more revenue streams, whether it's in index funds or a Roth IRA or
tons of different models.
Yeah, there's tons of different models that you can follow.
Absolutely. I know I've tinkered with a few of them. Like I said, I began with the Shopify, online store, got into a little bit of network marketing.
That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been a learning curve for sure. And, now got into the podcasting, blogging, and really interested in affiliate marketing. And so, it's almost overwhelming at how many different things. And I've kind of got that, I don't know what you would call it, but like, mouse, like the next cool thing. And I almost want to try it. So I've actually had to learn to calm down, sit back, tackle one thing, learn one thing really well. And then even with our podcast, I think we need to find out what we want to do, and which we're kind of doing that as we go along with our podcast, because our podcast is, it's kind of our journey. We started it right from the start, and it's kind of, we're taking you with us and all the different things that we're doing. So we're really trying to find that subject, and maybe we could just get really good at that one thing. And that's one thing I find very hard to do especially at the beginning.
Yeah, it is very difficult to do. Focus is definitely one of the things you have to keep in mind, that it's hard to do when you're first getting started because there is so much opportunity that's out there. An acronym I like to use is follow one course until success, which is focus, FOCUS, follow one course until success. And by doing so, then you're going to have a whole bunch of half-done projects if you don't follow that model. Yeah. I liken everything to a project, almost like when we were in school. You needed to complete a project. You wouldn't half do it and then start on the next project and then the next one and the next one. Now you got 4 projects that are not complete.
Right.
You stay on one project and you stay there until it's done. But we live in a world where 140 characters or less. Well, actually, it's more on Twitter now. But you have to have the a regular TV show. You have to have the introduction to the characters, the conflict, and the resolution, all with commercial break. So a lot of things need to. It's very hard to be focused. those who can get the focus down and stick to one thing, they have much more success. And that's one thing that I do preach to my clients and students as well.
Yeah, that's something I'm definitely learning really quickly. It's, it is a little overwhelming when you begin, and there's so many different mentors out there and people that are trying to, that do teach online business, and, they all have their own different ways and stuff like that. So it does get a little bit, overwhelming. And I guess this kind of leads me to my next question is, one of the things as a beginner that we struggle with, and I'm struggling right now, and maybe it's just, maybe I'm not patient enough or whatnot, but it's how to market and generate leads for affiliate marketing, or just, just trying to get that following, we were mentioning, maybe getting that first thousand people. So like, I mean, how did you market your business at the beginning, and how did you kind of keep that going?
Well, there's two main ways that you can generate people, basically. It is, excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold.
No
But
worries.
there's two main ways. You have paid and free. And paid will get you people faster, but they tend to be less qualified. But free takes longer, but they are typically extremely qualified because they found you. When it comes to free methods of generating traffic, I normally like to compel people to focus on one free and one paid traffic source. You want to go where the people are. If people are on Facebook, go on Facebook. If people are on YouTube or blogging or wherever, go to where the people are and try to get in front of them. And with the way that people just give information to Google and give information about personal lives in Facebook can now take that information and give it to the advertisers and tell them, okay, this person's interested in this, that person's interested in that. And now you can literally hyper focus your advertising, to someone who's actually going to be interested in it. So in my opinion, that's better than commercials on TV. That's better than the billboard that you see on the highway, because I'm showing this to only people who are interested in it.
Right.
So that's normally in a paid sense when it comes to paying for advertising. Another problem with the paid ads is that paid advertising takes a budget, because when you first are starting off, you don't really know who your ideal client is going to be. So you kind of have to throw a large net, and then you pay money to basically gather data. And then you say, okay, I don't want to talk to these people, but I want to talk to these people, or I don't want to talk to those people. So now you start to focus on a smaller group of people, and you send a lot of ads their way. So
Right.
if you're trying to generate traffic, especially if you're new and you do not have the budget, I would definitely recommend podcasting. I would definitely recommend Google in terms of blogging, I should say, and YouTube. And then maybe trying to create a small following on Facebook to a certain extent. Facebook's a little weird now because they don't like you to send people off of Facebook. So sometimes they kind of suppress.
And I heard that it's actually getting harder or it's not harder, but more expensive due to algorithm changes to advertise on Facebook. Is that correct?
Well, it's getting more expensive because it's getting more saturated.
Right.
More people are going onto Facebook. Facebook has 2 billion active users.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's a lot of people. My grandmother has a Facebook page. But because of that, because there's so many people on Facebook, and you can open up an advertising account with them in 5 minutes, and you can have your first ad up literally in 10 minutes if you wanted to. And the way that paid advertising works is that it is an auction system. So if I wanted to get in front of a group of people who follows at least 10 podcasters or something like that, there might be 20 other marketers who want to do the same thing, to try to sell you a microphone or something, So if that's the case, then if one marketer says, okay, I'll pay 5 cents for that spot, the other one like, okay, I'll pay 7 cents, or I'll pay 9 cents, and yada yada, and it'll just kind of keep driving the price up and up and up. So yeah, Facebook is getting more expensive. But what's interesting is that YouTube is getting cheaper, and the reason why YouTube is getting cheaper is, I'm sure you've heard about the adpocalypse that everyone keeps talking about. in terms of with the showing of minors in YouTube videos, and they're turning off the comments on those things, and advertisers are pulling out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem, and that's a sad thing for a lot of people who depend on YouTube just for their ad revenue. But if you actually are an advertiser on YouTube, all of a sudden other people are leaving the platform, which means advertisements are now cheaper on YouTube than they were ever before. So just kind of like how, with a stock, when a stock plummets, everyone tries to buy in before it kind of recovers.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
kind of the same difference when it comes to, if a major company like Facebook goes through a problem or an issue, some advertisers pull out. All of a sudden, their ad spend is cheaper, then they eventually recover most of the time. But Facebook is expensive, but it's highly effective, and that's the thing too.
Right.
You can find the right group of people, you can make a lot of money really fast. It's mind-boggling. I know entrepreneurs who, or I should say, I know marketers who will throw $10,000 at a Facebook ad and turn around and walk away with $30,000 in one day. Easy,
Yeah. So your ROI is definitely worth
it's
it.
through the roof. Yeah, it's insane.
Right. Awesome. And so with YouTube, you're saying that the advertisement's cheaper. So is that through Google that you advertise with in YouTube, or do they have their own platform?
It's one and the same. Google ad. I think it's just Google Ads now. It used to be AdWords, but they dropped the words and it's just Google Ads.
Right.
YouTube is like, it's a separate entity, but it's the same. So you still use Google Ads platform when you're constructing your ads.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you just kind of depend on Google to make sure that they show the ads to the right people. But you can strategically place your ads on certain videos or YouTube channels or anything like that, or maybe if someone has watched your YouTube video in the past, you can target just them.
Mm-hmm.
They also have what they call pixels. Well, it's called a Facebook pixel. In Google, it's called retargeting, where I can place that specific piece of code onto my website. So let's just say someone comes to my website, they don't give me their email address, or they don't buy anything that I'm selling, but the fact that they were on my website, I can now retarget them on YouTube. And if I want to get really weird with it, I can say, hey, you were at my website, but you didn't buy anything. This is what you should have done,
Yeah.
And
it'd be going like, what is going on here? How did this guy know? Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's really funny how that whole process works. When so my wife and I share the same computer sometimes, and she'll look up purses. All of a sudden, I'm on Facebook the next day, and they're advertising purses to me.
Exactly. I know. It's almost at the point where you could just think about something and it's like, it's going to be there.
Oh, it gets really weird. I swear our Amazon Alexa just listens to what we're saying.
Oh,
and it serves ads to us the next day.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
And so this brings me up kind of to my next topic, SEO. I mean, so important. I saw an awesome, it was actually an email that Neil Patel sent out, and it was a bunch of charts. I don't know if you've seen this one. It was out today, and it's just a bunch of statistics. And one of the interesting ones that I saw for lead generation, I think it was about 40 to 50% of all lead generation comes from Google, from SEO, so search engine optimization. And I'm sure majority is Google. And, and the second biggest search engine, which is another reason to be on YouTube, is YouTube, which I think is super important. So how did you learn about SEO, and how quickly did you start seeing results with your blog?
Well, SEO means search engine optimization. So
sorry, I should probably have explained that for those who don't know.
So it's basically how you can structure a web page to be more likely to show up when someone searches for it. All right. So we were talking earlier about the free and the paid traffic. SEO is an example of free traffic, but it's also attraction marketing because people find you. They Google a question and they find you. They read your stuff. If they like you, they might give you their email address, and then you can continue to remarket to them in their email address and make more money with them. So when it comes to SEO, I learned SEO, the basics of it, from a training that I signed up for a couple of years ago. I did more than just the training though, because I kind of fell in love with it, to be honest. It fascinated me.
Right.
And I have one of those weird addictive personalities where once I jump on and latch on to something, like I have to know every single thing about it. So I started following all of the influencers out there, Neil Patel, Brian Dean, Pat Flynn, all these guys who talks about how you can, build these great, huge, massive blogs and literally have hordes of traffic just coming to it based on your SEO. And today, the way Google is doing it is they've made it so difficult, to be honest. They've made it kind of difficult to do SEO correctly. But that's a good thing because they do that to kind of weed out all of the trash. If you went on Google maybe about 10 years ago, you would Google a certain topic or an answer, and then you would get nothing but these little e-zines. I don't know if you remember those on the top. On top of and it would take you to this weird website that didn't give you any answers to any question that you're really looking for, and it would tick you off, and then you would go use Ask Jeeves or something, it was a long time ago, some random thing. But over the years, Google has collected a lot of data, a lot of information, and they've gotten really, really smart. So now they can filter out the trash, and really the cream rises to the top. So today, if you want to do really well with SEO, you just have to create very good, helpful, and just simply great and amazing content. And if you can provide a better answer to a particular search term than somebody else, then eventually Google's going to move you up to the top. And it works very consistently. People have made billions of dollars just on SEO. Money is there to be made. You just have to find a particular niche and provide a better answer than what's already there.
Right.
So I definitely recommend it to anyone. It's also a very good way to have your own thing. We were mentioning earlier how YouTube could shut your channel down at any time because YouTube owns the website. But if you have your own website, they can't just shut you down because you own the domain. That's your website. So I always recommend people have a blog as their basis, because you can still talk to your audience that consistently comes to your website all the time. And if you have a following, you can make money off of that following.
Okay. And so how long, you said it takes about 4 to 5 months probably for, a well-optimized maybe post or page to start to see some results, or is that like 4 to 5 months where you'd be first, first on the first page?
It depends on the competition of the word that you're trying to rank for. And it depends on how bad the answers are that's already there. One quick way that you can do to, to if you have a search term that you're looking for, maybe how to be a good podcaster or something like that, someone might go to Google and type that in. What you can do is look at that first result. If that first result, that's not an advertisement. Look at the first organic result is what we call it.
Right.
The first natural result that pops up. If that's like a little weak 200 or 300 word article that kind of talks about it but doesn't really give you any good value, that means you can create maybe a 1,000, 2,000 word article that targets how to be a good podcaster.
Right. That's an opportunity right there.
That's an opportunity. And then after a while, your blog post is going to slowly move up to the top because people are going to see that your content is better than what's already there.
Right.
And that's what really makes blogging pretty awesome. But it does take a while for stuff to rank. But there has been times where I've created a blog post and I click publish, and literally within an hour, it's on the first page of Google.
Oh, wow.
It happens, but it depends on the competition. It depends on what's there. And it depends, on what it takes to outrank what's already there.
Right. Something that, and something that's not competitive, and doing your research is definitely an important part of that for sure.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that brings me into something that I want to chat a little bit about, and it's something that I joined through you, and it's an amazing platform called The Wealthy Affiliate.
Yes.
I was very, very impressed with what was offered, even just for for free, really, to begin with. And I'm still in the free account, but I'm definitely planning on going into the into the paid, because I think what they offer is so valuable. So, I mean, for our listeners who are out there, can you explain a little bit of what is the Wealthy Affiliate, and it is and why it's such an amazing place for beginners?
Yeah, Wealthy Affiliate is where I started. That's kind of where I got my bread and butter from. It basically gave me the ins and outs of how to build a website, how to properly optimize that website, how to create good content. But the one thing that WA, which is the nickname we kind of call it, offers that not a lot of places offer is a community. With that community, you can ask a question at 3 a.m. in the morning and someone's going to be there to answer, because it's a worldwide place.
Right.
You know, if it's 3 in the morning, you know, here in the States, I know you guys are in Canada, but you know, if it's 3 a.m. in the morning here in the States, someone in Australia is working on their website on WA and can answer your question.
That's right.
That's huge, because it's nice to have your handheld, you know. And then there's also tons and tons of success stories that are on WA that when you're feeling down, when you're in month 7 and you've only made a total of $37 on your website and you're just like, I can't do this anymore. You can go read and be like, hey, I you know, by the time I got to month 9, I made $800. And you're like, whoa, okay, just buckle down and do it again, you know. And that's one of the greatest things about WA. And they follow a very, very good business model. And that is to provide value first and let the person decide if they want to join. Not a ton of forced marketing or being like, you have to do this. It's more like reminders, like, hey, by the way, you know, if you sign up within 7 days, you get it for $19, you know, which is like 50% off.
Yeah.
They normally have for the first month. And even if you didn't do it in that first 7 days and you signed up 2 weeks later, it's still going to be $19. You know,
Right.
We're not gonna, it's there to try to, you know, kind of propel you, because they don't want you to sit there stagnant constantly.
That's right.
You know, you have to have some fire behind you.
Yeah, it's a marketing strategy. It's that time limit. It makes people want to sign up because they think they're gonna. You know, people are scared to miss out on deals and opportunities, even though, you know, everybody loves a good discount or a good deal. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, for sure.
Right, and the thing is, there's no guarantee that it'll always be there, but for the most part, you know, they promise it, and you know. I've personally met the guys who work over at WA, Kyle and Carson.
Right.
We were actually in Las Vegas in January, and
right on.
So I was hanging out with them, and you know, you meet these guys, and they are really smart guys. Like,
no, you can tell from their platform.
I was totally impressed with both of those guys. I typically am the person that people go to when they, hey, I have an idea for something, I want you to poke holes in it. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do this. You know, so then I go to them, and you know, I'm all right, I got this hole, I found this hole in WA, I found that hole in WA, and I'll bring it up to them. Oh yeah, they thought about that a year ago. I'm like, whoa,
wow,
smart, you know.
yeah.
They did really well. So it's definitely a platform that I would 100% recommend to everybody. One other great part about WA is what they teach is sustainable for years. It's not like it's not get rich quick. It's going to take you a few months before you get on top.
Right.
But definitely, once you get on top, you're probably going to stay there for a while. It's not one of those, you know, here's, you know, $500 and you're going to make, you know, a few dollars here, a few dollars there. It's going to look great for a year, but then you got to reinvent the wheel, you know, a year later.
That's right.
A lot of the cool stuff that WA has been following for they've been in business now for over 12 years. That's a long time for an online business, you know, and 12 years, they've been basically preaching the exact same thing. A lot of stuff that people are saying to do now, that people are saying is groundbreaking information, WA have been teaching for the last decade.
Wow.
You know, and it's really interesting how when you sit back and look at the rest of what's out there, and you realize that, wow, like if I just follow what WA had said, I'd probably be in a much better position.
Right.
You know, trying to cut corners and this, that, and the other. So it's definitely one place that I definitely recommend to anyone who's first getting started. Blogging isn't for everyone. I do get that, but I mean, when it comes to how hard blogging is to do in comparison to, you know, other manual labor type jobs, I mean,
absolutely,
come on, sit down, figure it out. This is a way that you can make a ton of money just by writing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's tons of resources, and they'll teach you how to they'll teach you how to create good content right on WA as well. Right. For those of
Oh
you
yeah.
a little concerned about, maybe, not everybody's a writer, and I know I'm not a great writer. I think Marco does all the blog posts. I'm more of the podcast guy. I can talk, and I can talk about this kind of stuff for days, but I'm sure they, like you said, they have courses that teach you even how to do that.
Oh yeah, it's not just a community. That's actually a bonus for what they have. The training is the core part of the platform. There is basically getting you from 0 to 100 as relatively quickly as you can, by still spoon feeding you the process, especially when you're brand new. Because as we mentioned before, marketing can make you pull your hair out with how many options and opportunities there are out there. I know people who didn't even know English very well and started with the platform, and now they still can't speak English the greatest, but they can write really, really well.
Right.
And it's a lot of mindset training that you kind of have to just get through your mind that, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. If you kind of get stumbled at this spot and get stumbled at that spot, then yeah, you're probably going to fail. But if you can push through, if you can figure it out and be like, you know what, this is just going to be a learning experience. I didn't get everything right the first time. I'm the first one to tell you that. But a lot of my experience of what I've learned is because I screwed it up the first time.
That's right. Learn from your mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the whole, there's a famous basketball player. He always said, fall down 7 times, get up 8.
There you go.
As long as you get up one more time than you fall down, you're going to be fine.
I like that. I like that a lot. And so I guess for anybody that's interested in the WA or Wealthy Affiliate, there will be a link in the show notes and in the blog post for you to check it out. Check it out. It's free. And as Chris said, the first month you can get it for half price. So definitely something I'm going to jump on. What are some of the hurdles? Sorry, I'm just going to be moving along here. What are some of the hurdles you faced with your business so far? And how did you overcome those?
Well, one thing when it comes to free traffic is you do have to worry about kind of ebbs and flows with really any business. There's going to be ups and downs. There's times where, the traffic on the website just it never hits 0, but it stalls. And you're just like, there's no growth. What's going on?
Right.
And it can get kind of scary because you're like, well, yeah.
Am I doing something wrong? Or
something wrong? Is somebody attacking me? What's going on? What's really going on? And even with YouTube, there's going to be times where views are down and you're like, why are views down? What's going on? Did YouTube demonetize me? It's a whole bunch of randoms that you can just kind of hit. So that's really the thing that you worry about anytime you run your own business is what's going to happen. Why is this down? But you have to look at it from a yearly standpoint, and that's the way that I started to look at it. If I look at it month to month, you can drive yourself nuts, and most people look at it day to day.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no one came to my site yesterday.
I'm in that boat right now.
Yeah, well, it's just typical and it's normal. But I'm gonna tell you, like when you get to 5-6 months down the road, a year down the road, and you start looking at your stats from day one, and you're gonna see like, okay, I had 10 people today, I had 12 people the next day, I had nobody the third day, but then I had 24 people this day. And you'll start seeing slow increases.
Right.
And some people will complain to me, like, I'm not getting any traffic to my site. I'm like, well, how's your traffic look the last 3 months? Give me the numbers. I say, well, that was 100 people, then 200 people, then 300 people. That's growth. It's not a ton of growth, but it's still growth. It shows that you're doing something right. That's been one big thing. And another big thing would probably be budget. When you're first starting off, you may not always have the money that you need to get the maybe the training or the tools or whatever to get your business up and running. But you kind of have to deal with what you have. One of the cool things about following a new person, maybe on YouTube, or following a new blogger that you might find, is you're probably going to be that person's only audience. So that means that they're your personal expert that you can really go to at any point. That's the best part about being new. And when it comes to YouTube, I always tell people, you're the best camera that you need or have. The best camera that you need is the one that you have. It doesn't even matter. Sometimes and for the most part, your cell phone is probably a much better camera
Oh,
than the
absolutely.
camera you might actually own. And some people ask me, well, what camera do you use to shoot your videos? I have a Canon 70D that I use, but that's not the camera I've always used. My first ones were a little crappy webcam off of a laptop,
Absolutely.
and it kind of graduated to uh, a webcam. And then I finally got a camera, but I always struggle to get that stupid camera to focus. So some of my videos are out of focus because I couldn't figure it out, But as long as you kind of improve 1% each time you do, then, after a while, you're going to have leaps and bounds of growth.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I love that. That's true. And I'm very much, like you said, I'm very much, that day to day drive me crazy. I mean, even
Yeah.
our listeners, sometimes it'll be, we'll have a great day and then it'll go down and you immediately start thinking the worst.
Yeah.
I'm like, something wrong, or people not interested in my stuff anymore. And yeah, it's just, we're, mental.
It's a mental thing that you got to get by because we're so used to getting, excuse me. We're so used to getting results immediately.
Right.
So you go to work, you get paid. That's the way that it works,
Exactly.
But in this business, you have to build a foundation and you're not going to get paid. But the upside of it after time passes is so high that it makes it all worth it like a million times over. And then once you actually do it and you're good at starting, because a lot of this is a learning process as well. You're saying that you're just beginning with the podcasting. It's weird now, but let's just say a year or two, the podcast is taking off and you decide that you want to branch off and do another podcast talking about something else. I guarantee you'll be able to launch and run that podcast in a quarter of the time that it took you to do this one because you know exactly what you're doing.
Right.
I can launch a blog right now where before it may have taken me 4 or 5 months to break my first $100. I can launch one now and I'll probably make $100 within the first month,
Right,
and it's
right.
just because I know the tricks and the tactics that work. So the learning process is what really gets a lot of people too. It's kind of like learning a new language. You got to figure it out, and you're going to be in a room and people are going to be talking and you're going to have no idea what they're saying,
Yeah.
But then after about, a year or two of it, then you kind of force yourself with that full immersion. Eventually you're going to figure it out and you're going to be talking the same language everybody else is. And then you're going to get good at it. And that's the fun part, because at that point you can basically just print money, because
Yeah.
you can just make your own money. They might as well put a press right there in your room.
That's right. Yeah, I want to get to that point. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, you'll get there. I like the way that you guys have reached out. That's the one thing that a lot of people don't like doing. Oh, I don't like reaching out. What if he says no? Yada yada yada. You guys have already conquered that. Because you're going to be able to tap into other audiences, and then your growth is going to be exponential. I can definitely see that. And you guys' podcasts sound amazing. Like, you guys know what you're talking about, and
Awesome.
I do like that.
Appreciate that. So for our listeners who want to find Chris and want to find your videos, which I highly suggest, where can they find you and your products?
Well, my main website, you can find me at blog.benjisdad.com. But if you want to find me on YouTube, it's youtube.com/benjisdad. That's BenjisDad. If you Google Benjis Dad, I believe my site comes up, or if you go to YouTube and put in Benjis Dad, it'll be the first one that pops up. So go ahead and check me out there and follow me on Instagram, Benjis Dad 17. Same thing on Twitter. And that's basically where you can find me.
Okay. Well, and we saw little Benji, so the face behind the business.
I can't tell you how many people have asked me, like, is Benji real? I'm like, yes, Benji's real.
Yeah.
Like, believe me, I'm broke because Benji's real. Like,
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not getting any sleep because Benji's real.
I'm not getting sleep because Benji's real. Believe me.
Oh, I'm sure it's all worth it. I don't have any kids.
Oh yeah, it is. He's a sweet kid.
Right on. Absolutely. I highly suggest all our listeners go check out Chris's YouTube channel. Go check out his website. He puts out amazing content. Chris, I got one more bonus question for you, and I'm going to leave you with. We're going to leave our listeners with this. What is one phrase or quote that keeps you motivated in your journey to success?
Do something today that your future self will thank you for.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Chris. And I'd love to, maybe catch up one day, have you on the podcast once again, and catch up to see how things are going.
Oh, definitely would love it to do it again. You've been awesome, Sergio. You gotta get me on a schedule where I can see Marcos too, man.
Absolutely, yeah. We got to get you with Marco for sure. Yeah, one day we'll be able to just sit back and do this full time, and hopefully one day, not have to do the full 9 to 5 thing. But that's
hey, maybe we can collab. Maybe I can come up there and we can just do this all in the same room. This would be nice.
I like that idea. Right on.
If you guys on the channel, that'd be nice.
Right on. Well, that's it for our interview with Chris. What an amazing interview we had. Thank you so much, Chris, for coming on the show, for sharing all that knowledge. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. There was so much value there. I know our fans, the Wealth Project podcast family, got so much value. I got so much value. People pay hundreds of dollars for that kind of information. I mean, you helped us out. You provided that for free. So thank you so much again. Thank you to all the Wealth Project podcast fans who joined us today, or who watched us live, or not live, but who are watching the live video. This is our first episode with that we went live, so I hope everything went well. But with that being said, we'll post every link that we spoke about in the show in our blog post and in the show notes. And as usual, if you love our content, please rate, review, subscribe, leave a comment. Help us out. Pass on our show to other people who you think it'll provide some value to. So once again, thanks again to Chris. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Project Podcast. Visit our website at thewealthprojectpodcast.com. See you next episode.